we are live. Let me check one thing here quick. Normal. That's a little better. A little bit dark today, but I think we'll live with that color. Actually, give me half a second here. There. Now I have a little bit more light in the room. So we're continuing with Gimli. So with Gimli, as we were talking about before, we're giving him Barbarian. We're going to give him a few levels of Barbarian right now. So just looking at Barbarian from our trusty Falling Apart Player's Handbook, still need to get them to replace that for me, or replace it for myself. So I'm just looking at it and I'm going, the minimum we're going to do of this is probably 11 levels. Because that gives us, or maybe even 12, that gives us Relentless Rage. But I have to see how far I want to go in Fighter, and I'm going to hop into Fighter probably sooner rather than later. But let's go up through 5th level here right now for our friendly neighborhood dwarf. Rolling. So 4, that was not great. 13. Oof. 18. 27 extra points. That's not great. That's actually really bad for rolling 4 times. You get 27 more points. Puts us at 15 plus 27, 37, 42. 42. And instead of having this number up here, I'm going to put it in front of the hit dice. The reason I'm going to do that is when we get a level of Fighter into Gimli, that is going to give us 2 different hit die numbers. Previously with Aragorn, we always had it as a single... sorry, let me adjust one thing quick. We always had it as a single die. Ranger and Fighter both get a D10. However, here we get a D12. So let's quickly run through some of what we get right now. So at 5th level, actually 3rd level is when we get it. We can add 1 more rage for the day, or for in between a short rest. I forget what it is. With that, we also get probably my favorite ability for a barbarian, Reckless Attack. Make attack with advantage until next turn. Attack opponents against you. This is so it doesn't seem like it'd be all that great, but when you're facing off, especially against the final big bad guy, the big bad guy probably is going to try and do the kill the wizard first, because the wizard can do a ton of damage. However, if you give yourself advantage on a lot of attacks, and in this case we get a second attack, so we're at 2 attacks per attack action. That means we can roll both of those attacks with advantage. And I mean, it's really nice to have that extra roll of the die there. We also get danger sense. Sorry for the little bit of airplane noise. Danger sense basically gives us the edge in dangerous situations. Advantage on dex saving throws for traps. You can see traps and spells. You can see, as well as you can't be. Oh, to gain the benefit, you can't be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. At 5th level, we get an extra attack, as well as our speed goes up to 35. This is how Gimli keeps up with them when they're chasing down the Uruk-hai. He's a barbarian. So at 4th level, which is pretty standard for every single class, you get an ability score bump. And in this case, we are going to split it out between a couple things, because putting this up to 18 then gives us a +4. It's really nice. Gives us a plus, probably more than that, because our proficiency bonus is a +3 now. So that gives us a +7 for that. We're going to stay with our strength where it is. Just take the +6, because it allows us to bump up the wisdom stat as well, which makes sense, I feel like, for our dear old dwarf. Gives us a +5 there, and a +5 to survival, and a +15 to that. So our armor class doesn't change. Arcana, that's still not athletics. I really am bad at that. Picking athletics, apparently. Comes a +6. And intimidation, again, I'm going with the strength-based intimidation, and I'm planning on writing an article about that tonight, where sometimes it makes sense for certain characters, certain classes, their intimidation should be based on strength, not on charisma. I could see the argument for charisma a lot of the time, but if you're a half-orc with a low charisma, you're still going to be intimidating, because you're just scary looking. So we do also then bump up. Wow, that was wrong. So that's a +6. That should have been a +6 originally. And hand axe should be a +3. I forgot to add the proficiency modifiers into those. But hand axe should be a +4. There we are. That looks a little bit more like the damage I would expect, or the chance to hit that I would expect from a character that has a 16 strength to start out. Oh, and we get to add 1 extra point to our health, because of the last roll would have had a +4 since we upgraded it at 4th level. So we basically just have to pick our barbarian path. So there are, I think it's just 2 paths that are in the player's handbook that we're going to look at, because we're going to go with the berserker path. because the Berserker path gives us a really fun thing. The other one is the Totem path. The Totem path is in some ways probably the stronger path of the two. The Bear Totem is just phenomenal. It's the first time you get that totem, you get resistance to all physical, except all damage except psychic. If you choose it at 6th level, your carrying capacity increases, big whoop, and you have advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, lift, or break objects. It's not so that great, but the 14th level version, while you're raging, any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile to you has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another character with this feature. They're immune if they can't be frightened, but basically it's you're so scary they have to attack you. And it's mainly for that first ability. That first ability, especially with the hit points you can end up with as a barbarian, is just phenomenal to use. It's so much damage that you can reduce, and which is just impressive. However, Frenzy Rage is where we're going to go. The Berserker path. Frenzy Rage. When you go into a rage, you can go in Frenzy Rage. If you do take an attack with your bonus action, and then when the rage ends, suffer a level of exhaustion. So it does come with a trade-off, but a trade-off to do 3 attacks with a great axe, that's fine. Especially if you're in a game where you're not necessarily fighting every single, like multiple times every single day. You have to be more sparing with how you use it when you are looking at a dungeon or something like that, where you're going to have multiple battles in the same day. But otherwise, yeah, otherwise it's good. So let's jump into our levels of fighter now. And so for fighter, we are actually going to, I mainly want to do it to get the fighting style. I'll probably actually run it up through 4th level right now. So let's do that. So we get 4 levels of 4d10 set up instead of the d12. Or whatever level you're going up in when you multi-class, that's the hit die that you roll. Now we have a +4 to our con, so that makes it really nice. So 12, 18, 26, and another 7 after that, 33 more hit points. So we are already at 76 hit points. The reason that I went up to 4th level, it gets us another stat boost, and there are very specific reasons why I'm picking this. This is kind of a little bit of an optimized build for somebody who wants to do a lot of damage and wants to combo some skills together. So, to go along with this, then, we choose our fighting style. And the answer to that is pretty easy. Great weapon fighting. Reroll 1 or 2s on damage dice when wielding two-handed. Keep new result. And this is kind of impressive for us. Like, the likelihood, it takes our average damage up. So our normal average damage with 3 attacks would be 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, so 13, 20 basically. 29 points of damage. However, now that we've dropped off the bottom 2 numbers, we're looking at the average of 3 to 12. That is 10, so 5, 8, 8.5 points. So we've added about 4 points of damage, or 6 points of damage per round, just by doing the Battle Master, or just by doing the Great Weapon Fighting. We also get Second Wind. And Second Wind is once per short or long rest. Use bonus action to use a hit die. So that basically, yeah, if we're ever getting low for some reason, which we're not necessarily going to do, it's not going to necessarily be all that likely, because we have, especially for playing a Lord of the Rings type game, we have resistance to all of these damages. Your orcs and Uruk-hai are going to be slinging around bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So at second level, we also get to add in action surge once per short or long rest. Use a bonus action to take an extra attack action. Oh, you don't. It's not even a once per short or long rest. Take an extra action. So we could theoretically, using action surge, frenzied rage, reckless attack, and we're going to go with the champion fighting style here, because immediately it gives us improved critical crit on a 19 or 20. Like, that's basically what I wanted to get out of this, simply because, and like the last thing I have to do here, and I'll double check one thing really quick. At level 9, we're still at level 9 we get +4 proficiency as well. So We're level 9 overall, which means our proficiency goes up to +4. But okay, so back to what I was saying. The improved critical here. So we are making, let's say we action surge. We're making 5 attacks. So out of 5 attacks, and there's a 10% chance that we crit. However, so my ability to calculate out this math is not super great right now. Sorry, the cat's looking weird. It's normal, but it's distracting. So think about it as, well, so if we do all of those attacks reckless, we roll 10 dice. The chances that we crit are 1 in 10. So the likelihood that attacking 5 times and doing reckless attacks each one of those times, the likelihood we crit is pretty good. And I realized I forgot to calculate in something here. This is, oh, because it's separate. So when raging, we get a +2 damage. So it's basically, we're looking at dealing out a lot of damage. A lot. So the final couple things to do here. We have to decide where we're going to put our +2. And it might surprise people a little bit where I'm going to put the +2, but I'm not going to put it in strength right now. I'm putting it in dexterity. The reason I'm putting it in dexterity is, like, we see Gimli run a long ways. He doesn't get tired. There's a lot of that's constitution, but he also isn't 3 miles behind Legolas and Aragorn, who should be able to outpace him pretty easily because they're taller and faster. So con becomes an 8, which is really nice. 7 for strength. Athletics 7. Intimidation's a 7. Perception's a 6. Very nice. +6. Survival's a 6. So, because we're wearing chain shirt, it is dex based, so we've now increased our armor class by 1, as well as our initiative by 1, which is nice. It allows Gimli to get into the action faster, which is something that I think that, I mean, Gimli's probably, out of any of the characters in Lord of the Rings, is the one who is looking for a fight most of the time, or more readily. So that also is kind of nice because that gives us a +2 there, and gives us a 5 with our hand axe. We're up to 7 using it when we don't throw it. We're up to 7 to hit with our great axe as well. And this is going to take us basically to the halfway point of Gimli. I think I'm going to wrap up probably a little bit early today with this stream. I will be back next Tuesday. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to finish Gimli off that day with, I'm not completely sure what I'm going to go with yet. There are some things that I'm considering for him. One of them being the alert feat. It's a little bit odd. So the alert feat basically means that you're less likely to be surprised, when there's trouble around. And Gimli, I mean, all of them kind of have a feel for a lot of the things, but I feel like, especially with how quickly he can get into battle most of the time, there's a really nice initiative bump that comes with that, and would allow him to kind of show off those battle skills more, because he'll get into stuff sooner. And so next time, I'll probably take it up to Barbarian 8 and then evaluate which way I'm going to go. But with Barbarian 8, that will get us, I think, is going to get us another ability score improvement, which I will probably swap out for that alert feat. Paired with, where is it now? Danger Sense. He's going to be, as I said, he's one of the first to jump into battle, and it makes sense, I think, to build him that way. So with that, peace.